about 2 minutes ago. So we're talking about creativity and play today, as you can tell. So one of the things that we want to really take a look at, and how beautifully the theater ministry evidenced, how important it is when we are moving through life and we are being confronted with the things in our life that are asking us to be creative, to try something new, have a new idea. You know, one of the rules for improv, I bet you didn't know improv had rules. There's one rule and one rule only in improv. You know what it is? You have to say yes. Whatever's thrown you, you have to say yes to it. You have to say yes and take it on and run with it. You don't get to say no. You don't get to, because what happens when we say no to things is we shut it down. We shut it down, shut it off, close it off. How many of you have said no to your own creativity? Yeah, I'm not really creative. You know, I don't do that creative thing. I don't draw, I don't paint, I don't sing, I don't act, I'm not really creative. The challenge of that, of course, is that we teach here in the Center for Spiritual Living, we teach a spirituality that's based on co-creating our life with the divine. That we are co-creators of life. Well, how do we co-create our lives with the infinite power and presence as it is moving through us? How do we co-create if we don't believe that we ourselves are creative? You see, we've set up ourselves for an impossibility. So finding ways to access our creativity begins to open us up to this opportunity that we have to, in fact, co-create the life of our dreams. Co-create the kind of reality we want to experience, not only in our own lives, but collectively, together in our community, in our greater community, and on the planet that we share. It begins with our ability and our willingness to see that we are, in fact, creative. So let's talk about creativity. And we're working with this fabulous book by Brené Brown. As you know, we've been working with this book called The Gifts of Imperfection. And she has this section here on creativity and play. And in her work, exploring wholehearted living and what does it mean to be a person who is involved in wholehearted living, she has discovered these things about creativity. First, she says, I'm not very creative, doesn't work. There's no such thing as creative people and non-creative people. There are only people who use their creativity and those who don't. That's it. So it's not that we're not creative, it's actually that we're not using or accessing our creativity. She goes on to say this, the only unique contribution that we will ever make in this world will be born out of our creativity. And you know, we're all here to give a unique gift. The unique gift of ourselves, the unique gift of the way in which we see the world, the unique love that we have to share, the unique presence that we are, which is the divine made manifest in us. And it is unique and precious. And it's not like anybody else's. That's why we've spent the last few weeks on celebrating our imperfections and our uniqueness, not trying to fit in, learning to belong as the fullness of who we are. And so discovering our own creativity we begin to access that unique, quirky little thing about us. Some of you have been here long enough, you know my favorite thing is to call us, right? We're all just funny bunnies. Some of us have a little more funny bunniness than others. We are actually all just funny bunnies. We're all just a little odd in some way or other. And we spend so much time hiding this fact. Right? But it is that very oddness, that very slight quirkiness, that very thing that makes us unique. Brené Brown goes on to say this, if we want to make, my iPad just shut off, just as I was reading you that quote. If we want to make meaning, we need to make art. If we want to make meaning, we need to make art. And she says, as long as we are creating, we are cultivating meaning. Now, you know, I'm like not one of those scrapbooker people, that cut things out, and glue them on, and make them all pretty. I don't really, like when I draw, if you've ever been in a class of mine, when I draw stick figures, like little fourth grader, third grader, So I am not an artist in that sense, but I am very creative with the spray can. Spray paint. A can of spray paint, I am extremely creative. I have many things in my backyard to prove this, actually. My beloved had to say, okay, only the things in the backyard are you allowed to spray paint. Because I'm happily looking around the house. What can I do? Creativity isn't just about the arts. Now, we can use the arts to access our creativity. Not because we're going to be an artist, because we're going to hang something in the Louvre, or because we're going to play on Broadway and theater, but because it opens something up in us. This is why we have such a heavy emphasis here in this community on music and the fine arts. Lady Bernstein, our director of music and fine arts, she does an incredible job with cultivating this with our musicians, through the theater ministry, with Robin, through the dance ministry. Jackie Murphy's the lead on that, through our art galleries. Have you seen the kids' art that's over in Pankey Hall? Oh my God, it's amazing. We have our community art show at some point during the year, and all of this is not because we're going to turn all of us into people who are making our money or living as artists, but because we're learning to access that part of us that says yes. Yes to life. Yes to our own creativity. Yes to whatever's being thrown at me, I can handle it. At the first service, you know what they gave the theater ministry? Walruses. Say yes to that. Oh my goodness. But you see, when we say no, we shut it down, we close it off, and we can't participate in what's going on in life. So everybody is creative. Every single one of us is creative. It is where our unique contribution comes from. And it is the way that we cultivate meaning. It is the way in which we allow ourselves to give our gift. Creativity, practicing creativity, is the antidote to living in comparison and competition. And we all know where comparison and competition gets us. Now, part of the reason that we have challenge with creativity is because it requires us to play. Like play, like really play. Like, do you know what it means? Like to play with an idea, play with a thought, play with something. Let's just play with that. Let's get out this sequence and play with a t-shirt. Let's just play with. Yeah, when was the last time that you really played? That you allowed yourself to simply enjoy something without purpose, without trying to improve? I have a lot of people who come to me and they talk about, wanting to get better at their lives and have things, I'm going to spiritually improve myself, personal growth, and it's always getting better. What am I? And it's always about how I'm not getting better. I'm not doing it right. I'm not better enough. So one of my favorite assignments, and I'm going to collectively give you all of this assignment. One of my favorite assignments to people is find something that you do. Find something to do that you love doing, and do it without seeking to improve. Okay, I just felt the air get sucked out of the room. What do you mean by that? I'm not a slacker. I work hard. I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to improve. No, actually, you know what? We are obsessed with that. We're improving our looks and our teeth and our hairs and our clothes and our jobs and our spirituality and everything. We're constantly improving everything. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So finding something that we love to do but aren't actually seeking to improve, but actually all we're doing is seeking to enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I learned to do this with my garden and my flowers and the herbs that I grow. I don't care if I dry any of my herbs. I don't care if I make a single sachet or a single essential oil. I like to go out and see them growing. And I like to run my hands over the rosemary and go, oh my gosh, that smells so good. And every once in a while, I have really wild hair. I clip some of them off and I cook with it. I'm not trying to to get any better at growing my garden or my herbs or my flowers. It's something I do just because I enjoy it. Just for play. There's so many things that we work at. So Brené Brown, she has this, in her research, as she was working on this notion of wholehearted living, she reminds us that when we make accomplishment and productivity a key to self-worth, we live in this world of comparison and competition that we talked about. And the truth is, it's literally killing us. It's called stress, overwhelm, depression. So let me read to you for a moment what she says about play. What exactly is play? And there's somebody who actually has researched this. What exactly is play? You have to work on finding out what play is. And this researcher says that there are properties of play, the first of which, and the most important, is that play is apparently purposeless. It has no reason. There's no reason for us to do it. In today's culture, where our self-worth is tied to our net worth, and we base our worthiness on our level of productivity, spending time doing purposeless activities is rare. In fact, for many of us, it sounds like an anxiety attack waiting to happen. When was the last time you sat out in your back patio and didn't do anything? Like really didn't do anything. Like just hung out. Just hung out. And didn't think about all the weeds that needed to be weeded and the thing that needed to be painted in the yard that needed to be mowed. And just hung out. She goes on to say this: the opposite of play is not work. The opposite of play is depression. Yeah, let me read that to you again. The opposite of play is not work. The opposite of play is depression. So this researcher goes on, respecting our biologically programmed need for play can actually transform work. It can bring back excitement and newness to our job. Play helps us deal with difficulties, provides a sense of expansiveness, promotes mastery of our craft, and is an essential part of the creative process. Most important, true play that comes from our own inner needs and desires is the only path to finding lasting joy and satisfaction in our work. In the long run, work does not work without play. So when we allow ourselves to play around with things, we're accessing that creativity. We're accessing that open place. It allows us to say yes to life, yes to the possibility, as opposed to no to the challenge, no to the thing we say we can't do because we don't believe in ourselves, or we don't think we're worthy, or we don't think we're capable. And every time we say no, we're just shutting it down, shutting it down, shutting it down. But when we play, we begin to access our creativity. You see, in play, it doesn't really matter whether you win or lose. It doesn't really matter whether your drawing gets hung up in the Louvre or hung up on the refrigerator. It doesn't matter. We're just playing with it. And as we begin to play, you see, we begin to open ourselves up to one of the most profound faculties that we have as human beings. There's been a lot of conversation in the last 100 years. What makes people different than animals? Why are they different? What is it about our sentience or sapience or whatever that is? What is it that makes people different from animals? And a lot of things have been brought forward. Oh, it's because we can cry. It's because we can laugh. It's because we can blush. It's because we make tools. And there are actually animals that do all of those things. But it does appear to be one thing that we do, a faculty that we have, that does not seem to be evident in animals, in the animal kingdom, that is different from something that we are able to do. And you know what that is? We're able to imagine something we cannot see. We're able to imagine something different than the way it currently is. We can imagine a different hair color. We can imagine wearing different clothes. We can imagine looking differently. We can imagine actually living in a different house. We can imagine that we live here and we can move someplace else. We can imagine working in a different company. We can imagine a different solution to the problem that is in front of us. We can imagine something that we've never seen. When we were driving around in horse and carriages, somebody imagined the car. When we were driving around in cars, somebody imagined the airplane. When we were driving around in an airplane, somebody imagined the rocket. When we were calling each other on the crank telephone in the party line, somebody imagined mobile phones. I'd never seen them before. Do you see? And that creativity and play is the place where we access our imagination. Because there's no right answer here. There's no right answer. There's no right way to do it. And to allow ourselves to begin to play with possibilities, play with ideas, opens that space of our imagining. Oh, wait, I could play with the possibility of being in a healthy relationship as opposed to an abusive one. I could play with the possibility that God is actually present in my life as opposed to the fact that I'm always alone. I can imagine that I'm actually part of something so great and so grand that I can imagine actually being a place where the incarnation of life itself is happening, as opposed to thinking that I'm just this separate little being whose life doesn't matter. You see, as we begin to play with these possibilities, open our creativity, our imagination begins to unfold and unleash. Having an opportunity, I don't want to go there yet, sorry. Lainey, can you just blank that screen for just a second? I'm having an opportunity to imagine. I'd like to ask you to imagine the Celestial Syncopated Señors. Remember to imagine them naked.
Cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, boom. Cha-cha-cha-cha.
Apparently purposeless. Oh my goodness. Okay, so speaking of play, can you just feel it? Do you just feel it? It's like a psychic bath, isn't it? All that laughter and joy. And, oh, should I apologize that we're doing nakedness in bars? Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We're being creative. We're being creative this morning. It's so important. It's so important. We take ourselves so seriously, and oh my goodness, do we take our spirituality seriously. And we take our need to be better so seriously. And yet, you know, the truth is, you are already a divine, magnificent, radiant beam of light. You're already a child of God, a place where love is making itself manifest. You are already the joy of creation seeking to express itself. So one of the amazing things that Brené Brown continues to talk about in this section on play is that actually play is the key to our creativity and mastery. When we are willing to play and imagine and see things differently and just allow it to unfold, say yes to the possibilities, and just be a little wild and crazy, you see, that takes us into a whole new realm of life and a whole new way of being in anything that we might actually be doing, any current activity that we might be involved in. Finally, she says this. She says, play is as important as rest. Play is as important as rest. And let me tell you that there are so many studies that say that Americans, particularly, people in the first world country, primarily Americans, we are chronically sleep deprived. Chronically sleep deprived. We don't sleep enough. We've actually come to the place where exhaustion is a status symbol. Being able to say how tired you are because you've been working so hard, 80 hours a week, and really pushing through, that has become a status symbol. And to actually be rested, are you really working hard enough? Right, there's an implication that if we're rested, well, we're just a little lazy. I certainly grew up with that. I grew up in a strong Germanic household, and as I've shared with you guys in the past, how much I have been really motivated by responsibility and duty. I take our spirituality extremely seriously. I take what we do here at the center very seriously. My ministry absolutely calls every part of me to it, and I love to do it. And the challenge with that is that I often work a lot. And while I seek to model the spirituality that we teach, it's very, very important to me that we're congruent in every way possible. That we're congruent, that our leadership is congruent in how we live and how we speak and how we act and how we are as a community. That it really reflects the spirituality that we teach. I seek to walk the walk to the best of my ability. And it has become very clear to me over the last few years that I do not model rest and taking care of oneself very well. Don't laugh. I'm having a confessional moment here. But it's true. It's true. Because I just assume keep on working. There's so much to do. There's so much good stuff going on. It's all really fun and it's really great. But there's not enough rest and play in that. And so, as you know, today is my last Sunday before my sabbatical. I'm actually working this week all the way through to the women's retreat on Saturday. And then on Sunday we leave for Colorado to start on my sabbatical. And it's been an amazing walk to claim this time of rest and play, to claim this time of taking care of myself, to restore and to rejuvenate. I had a very dear friend of mine who's been in the ministry almost as long as I have, and somebody that I go to on a regular basis. And I can remember not too many years ago, he was in a real deep physical and emotional crisis. And it was really a nip and tuck there whether he was going to be able to continue on in his ministry. It was a very, very challenging time, and as he worked through that time and came out of that time, the most significant thing he said to me, out of all of that, out of everything that he learned, the most significant thing, and some of you have heard me say this, he said, Petra, what I've learned is that 8 hours of sleep is as good as an hour of therapy. So much of our depression, our stress, our sense of negativity is because we are exhausted, not because there's anything wrong. It's because we haven't built the resilience back up again in our systems and in our being. We are actually spiritual beings having a human experience. And this world requires rest, rejuvenation. It requires that different, doing something different so that we can bring it back into what we're doing. Play. Play is as important as rest. It's the key to creativity and mastery. So when we actually take time away, take time off, it's actually good for those things that we do. So this is the process that I've been working on. I've been working on this for a number of years to really get to the place where I could ask the Core Council, and the Core Council could so lovingly say, yes, we support you in this. And I am hopeful. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the support. I want to say thank you for the unbelievably outpouring of support that I've experienced from the Core Council, the leadership, the staff, the community, the volunteers. Unbelievable, overwhelming support, which has been just a really extraordinary moment for me to receive that. And I hope to be a mirror to you how important it is for you to receive the support in your life. There are people out there who support you and you're not letting them in. I know this because I've been there, done that. There are people who love us and care about us and support us, and they might actually be knocking on our door saying, are you taking a break? Have you taken a rest? Will you come play? Will you come do this? And we're so busy. We're so busy charging ahead, improving ourselves, bettering ourselves, and accomplishing. So I'm hoping that my sabbatical is an inspiration to you. Maybe you won't take 3 months off. Maybe you'll just take an afternoon off. Maybe you'll go have lunch with a friend. Maybe you'll take a weekend off and you'll go to the lake. Maybe you'll take that vacation that you've been putting off for so long, because you know what? The world will not fall apart. It is clear to me that this community will not fall apart while I'm on my sabbatical. Isn't that amazing? Like, I'm not indispensable. We are not indispensable to these places that we work. Yes, they love us. Yes, we'll come back. Yes, we'll do all of those things. But life will not stop because you've taken a moment out. Everything that you're working on will still be there when you get back. And you will be refreshed. You will be rejuvenated. You will be renewed. So this time for creativity and play is so important for all of us to find ways and places to embrace it. I've had a lot of people ask me about my sabbatical. What am I doing? Where am I going? So rather than having to say it to 250, 300 people each individually, I'm going to tell you all collectively. Okay? So I am leaving on the 29th, Sunday morning on the 29th, and we're going to Colorado for a week because I can't imagine not going to Colorado in the summer. And we go up there and we'll have a wonderful time just hiking and relaxing. When I get back, August 9th, I get on the plane and I go to the first conference in Geneva that I was invited to. I'm presenting there. I'm going to see a bunch of folks that you know. Michael Gott and Cynthia James will be there. Some members of our community are going, which will be really lovely to have them there. So I'll be presenting at the conference. Oh gosh, it's in a chateau at the foot of the Alps. It'll be such a burden. But that's part of what took me over there. And so from there, I'm going to spend a week in my favorite part of Switzerland, up in the Alps. I found a little tiny town that has 150 people in it. No phones, no cars, no TV. You can only get there by cable car. And what they do is they make hay and they herd cows. That's it. So I'm going to sit there for a week almost and hike in the Alps and have some quiet time. From there, I go to southern Germany. As many of you know, my parents were born and raised in Germany. I'm a native German speaker, and I've never been to southern Germany. I've never been to the Black Forest, so I'm going to spend almost a week there in a lovely little bed and breakfast on a horse farm, surrounded by horses up against the woods. And so lots of hiking there in the Black Forest. Of course, it'll be very different than the Alps, but it's beautiful. From there, I'm going to go up and visit my relatives, and I'll have the opportunity to take a little Rhine cruise and see the castles. I've never done that. For all the many, many, many times I've been in Germany, I've never seen that portion of the Rhine where all the castles are. So I'm going to take a little Rhine cruise up, and then I'll spend 10 days with my relatives. I'm going to stay with my cousin, and it just so coincidentally happens that the week that I'm there, my only surviving aunt on my mother's side has her 60th wedding anniversary. Yes, so unbelievably cool. And because of that, everybody will be there. So I'm going to get to see everybody, coincidentally, how that worked out. Yeah, it's very cool. And I will get to see my only surviving cousin on my dad's side. I spend a few days with them as well. So I'll spend 10 days in the Düsseldorf area. That'll be really lovely to reconnect with my family. I haven't seen them since 2000. And so from there, then, I'm going to go to France. And yeah, I'm going to spend a month in France, and I'm not really sure why. I speak fluent German and fluent English, and I'm going to spend most of my time in France. I haven't quite figured that out, but I'm sure it has something to do with creativity and play. Getting completely outside of my comfort zone. I'm not even sure I pronounce anything correctly in French, let alone speak it. So I'm going to go to Chartres for a week, walk the labyrinth, and be in that environment. And then from there I go to the other side of Paris and south to a little town called Vézelay. And I'm going to stay in a bed and breakfast there that has award-winning gardens, again, up against the forest. And Vézelay has the most famous, most beautiful Santa Magdalena cathedral in Europe. And it also is one of the starting off places for the El Camino de Santiago, which, as you may recall, is the 500-kilometer pilgrimage through Europe into Spain. And so I'm going to spend almost a week there. And then from there I'm going to go down into Provence. And I'm still looking for my place there. I think I picked up a town, but I haven't found a place yet. And then I'm going to go to the Dordogne, which is central France, over on the east side. And it's where all of the cave paintings are. Those old 10,000, whatever, 20,000-year-old cave paintings are. And I'm going to spend almost a week in that region just, soaking up the spirituality from that ancient tradition and ancient time. And from there, I'm going to go for a week to Plum Village. Plum Village is one of Thich Nhat Hanh's 5 meditation retreat centers in the world, and there happens to be one right in that area of France. And so I'm going to spend a week there in silence and meditation, doing the monk routine and all of that. And that'll be the end of basically my time by myself. And from there I'll fly to Italy, and I go to the last conference that I was invited to participate in, which is what took me to Europe in the first place. I go to the conference, it's the Association for Global New Thought and the International Interreligious Dialogue Project. It's an amazing conference with spiritual leaders from all over the world. I have the privilege, Dr. Michael Beckwith and I will be facilitating a track of classes throughout the course of that conference. Lots of people are going to be facilitating different sections of the conference. And we'll be having 2 press conferences while we're there, one in Rome and one in Italy, one in Rome and one in Florence. And both of them, the first one in Rome will be about how the interreligious dialogues engages with the issues and crises that we face as on our planet. And then the press conference in Florence will be talking about solutions that come out of these zones of interdependent collaboration that will be created during this conference. So look for the press conferences. There'll be, as I said, there'll be one in Rome and one in Florence, where we'll be releasing statements about what's coming out of this collaborative opportunity. It's just going to be really extraordinary. I get to spend another couple days in Florence, and then I'll go back to Geneva and come home, and I'll be so very happy to be home and to see you guys at that point. I have to tell you quite frankly that as excited as I am about it, I can really only sort of look at it out of the corner of my eye over there, because there's a little part of it that freaks me out, to be in Europe by myself for 2.5 months. And I hope to have a lot of purposeless time, purposeless activity, time to play and rest and rejuvenate and just come back to you filled in a new way, with hopefully more creativity and more mastery to share with you. I hope you're inspired to do the same for yourself. I'll be on Facebook, my Facebook page, the CSL Facebook page. I'll be posting stuff. You know, of course, for those of you who follow me traveling, I'll be taking pictures of everything I eat, I'm sure. All the great food and places, and I'll be blogging and talking about the experience. So please do come along on the journey with me. I will not be answering any email. My email and my phone will be shut off, so I won't actually be in communication. But I'd love for you to come on the journey with me. Occasionally I'll be sending home a video that they'll be playing here on Sunday morning about something really extra special that I want to share with you. So it's been an amazing journey since the beginning of the year when I came to the Core Council and said I really am ready for my sabbatical, really needing to do this. I'm so grateful for your contribution to making it happen, to making it possible, and to knowing how strong and vibrant and thriving our community is, and how powerful I feel like we are, and what a great place we're in for the community to thrive and flourish while I'm gone. To close this beautiful day of creativity and play, I'd asked the Puppet Zone to do something on creativity, and our Puppet Zone director, Val Oliver, well, you know, nobody ever listens to me anyway, so she decided to do her own thing. I did get to see it for the first time at the first service. It's just really a special treat. They've done something very special for me and for us. So here we are, the Puppet Zone, under the direction of Val Oliver.
Let's get spiritual, spiritual. I wanna get spiritual. So bring down spiritual. Listen to the spirit talk. The spirit talk. Listen to the spirit talk. Let's get spiritual, spiritual. I wanna get spiritual. So bring down spiritual. Listen to the spirit talk. The spirit talk. Listen to the spirit.
So let's have the Puppet Zone come out here. What a fabulous job and an amazing group. So I'm going to direct Val, Oliver, Susan Pankey, and Ruth Bleeker, and Beckett Wanamaker back here. Yay! Awesome. So just another opportunity for play and creativity.